Sergeant Barry Hand, your white police helmet ended up all over the media globally, didn't it?
It did, yes. To be honest, it was kind of inevitable that would happen. And I think we anticipated that happening as well. It's very unique to the Isle of Man. It's a great piece of heritage that we have as the Isle of Man Constabulary. And I think it was only right that we were there to represent the Isle of Man as well.
It must have been quite a moving thing as well, I would imagine. First of all, obviously, the responsibility of being there, and you had duties you had to perform. We'll come to that. But it must have felt quite emotional.
It was. It was a complete mixed bag of emotions the whole time I was there. From excitement, from trepidation, a little bit of sadness as well because of the occasion. We, as police officers, are all crown servants, so we all serve the Queen. Now we serve the King. It was an amazing day, an amazing experience, and deeply honoured and deeply privileged to have been there.
I'm sure it was. What was your usual role within Isle of Man Constabulary then?
So I'm a uniformed police sergeant. My day-to-day role predominantly over the last couple of years has been working in the Joint Emergency Services Control Room. At the moment, I'm on a floating pattern, so I sort of help out with the patrol sergeant duties, help out in custody. I also run the police search team, so I'd normally get involved in any high-risk missing from homes, that sort of thing. So again, a mixed bag of skills and things that I bring to the table for the police. But
presumably very different to what you were then tasked with doing during the funeral. So tell us what you were doing down in London then.
Yes, Christy, very, very different. So on the morning itself, I had to parade on at Lambeth Police Headquarters, which is, if you don't know London, it's just across the Thames from the Houses of Parliament. So to be there for 5 a.m. We were then marched over. We had to walk across Lambeth Bridge. We were marched all the way around the Houses of Parliament, the back of Westminster Hall, where, as luck we would have it, we walked past the last few people that were in the queue to go to the line in state. So we walked past those, and there was waves and cheers, and it was a real emotional walk, to be honest. It probably took us about 25 minutes to get to where we needed to be on the other side of Whitehall. And there'd been people camping out on the sides of the streets for 48 hours. And as we came walking down, there was a huge group of police officers from all over the country, about 45 officers maybe in total, plus extras. And people were just getting up and cheering and clapping and waving. And it was really emotional because it sort of felt like some of the emphasis was on us, and it shouldn't have been. But then we were there representing our organisations and representing the Crown. And it was deeply moving to walk through the streets of London at what was then 5:30 in the morning, and there were thousands of people about.
Oh my goodness.
It was truly amazing.
It does sound like it'd be very emotional. And did you feel like sort of all eyes were on you with the white helmet standing out there?
I wouldn't say necessarily on myself personally. No, that there were other police officers there from other territorial parts of the United Kingdom and the Commonwealth whose uniforms were a little bit more striking than just my white helmet. But there was definitely a bit of a, where's he from? What's that? And you can sort of hear it rumbling in the crowd, and every now and then you'd hear, Isle of Man, and you just sort of stand and wave. And it was really nice. The atmosphere was fantastic. It was a really friendly atmosphere in London. A really solemn occasion, so there was also that solemn aspect to it. But really, really an amazing atmosphere. It was just something, it's kind of hard to describe it really in full words. I have to sit down and really think about capturing this moment myself on paper. It was truly wonderful.
It clearly is going to be something that stays with you forever,
yes.
isn't it? But I think your experience was probably very different from Police Constable Ali Thompson, who's with us as well. Tell us what you were doing, Ali.
So I was one of the officers that was sent down on the Tuesday. So we went down Tuesday, got ourselves booked in, found out some of our duties, and then on the Wednesday, excuse me, on the Wednesday our first duty was at Whitehall, and we were helping with the road closure at Whitehall while the coffin was taken from Buckingham Palace to Westminster Hall, and we were manning a pedestrian crossing so that they could get people going from one side of the road to the other to make sure there's not too much congestion, etc. So we did that on the first day we were there, and then on the second, third, fourth day, I think it was, we were at Buckingham Palace. So we were given directions, believe it or not, at Buckingham Palace, sending people to Victoria Station, Westminster Hall, Westminster Abbey, talking to loads of people. Lots of people asking what force we were from because we were in a different uniform to the Metropolitan Police there in the white shirts. We obviously wearing black. So we had lots of questions about our uniform, where we're from. And then we did another duty at Sloane Street. And that was to facilitate road closures for the King was having a reception. And there was lots of heads of state around that area. So they had to shut the roads to get the heads of state to this reception the King was hosting. And then on the last day, we were at Waterloo Station, just managing crowds there from after the funeral.
Gosh, it's such a varied list of duties that you had, essentially, really. I mean, did you know before you went there what you would end up doing? Or was it a case of you got there and were sort of divvied up tasks as such?
So we were given our duties literally on a day-to-day basis. We were getting back to our hotel in the evening time and finding out our duties then. So sometimes that wasn't till like 11 o'clock at night. So we weren't finding out our duties till the next day really late. Sometimes it was a lot earlier. So it was literally on a day-to-day basis of what we're going to be doing.
Wow, incredible experience. And how much of what was going on were you actually able to experience yourselves? Or was it very much just sort of head in the job?
It was very much head in the job, but you can't go there and not really. So when the coffin procession was going to Westminster Hall, we were sort of moved back because we weren't in the same uniform as the Met officers, but we still were able to see. So I hate to say it, I did have a sneaky look at what was going on because I'm never going to do that ever again in my life. So, so we had a look at that, what was going on. We also had, we got sent back to where we were at the pedestrian crossing. And as we were helping people across the road, we got told to shut the crossing very, 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 very quickly because the King was coming back up the road. So there was the King and the Queen Consort and Prince William and Catherine and Prince Harry and Meghan all literally drove past the back of our backs, which we didn't expect. And I don't think the bosses there expected that to happen either, the way we were rushed to close the road again. So
It did feel like sometimes when you're watching it on TV as well, it did feel like sometimes it was very sort of a very fast moving thing, wasn't it? Things were changing all the time.
Yeah.
Barry, I'm guessing from where you were, you probably didn't actually get to experience or see much of what was going on.
I didn't actually get to see much. I certainly experienced a great deal. But no, I didn't get to see the funeral procession, even though we were there on a ceremonial role, lining the mall down to Buckingham Palace. We still had a role to play. We were still police officers. We still had a duty to perform whilst we were there. And to do any sort of duty on that auspicious and memorable day, you just did it 100%. I'm pretty sure that every police officer was there just did the best that they could on that day. But my experience of seeing the procession was through the crowd that was in front of me. So everyone that lined the mall, we were given we were given a small section of crowd to manage, and that was our job. And as Isle of Man police officers, we're really good at doing that because we're really good at speaking to people and really good at communicating with people. The TT in particular gives us a lot of experience doing that, and we've done many TTs, haven't we, Ali? So that was a really nice role for me to do on the day, and I met some amazing people. So I experienced the Queen's funeral through them, and it was really moving at the end of it because I sort of got to the end and I thought, I haven't really seen anything that's happened, even though you could hear it all. There was so much movement going on behind me, and a lot of the members of the public were saying, Barry, you are literally in every photo we've taken and every piece of video footage we have on our phones. So we'll just start emailing stuff into you. And that's what it's been like since I got back. Every now and then there's a little ping on my email, and it's or a little someone's put me on Facebook or something, and little things ping up every now and then. So now I've got loads of photos of me with the funeral going on behind me or the procession going on behind me. And it's just amazing. It was really, really fantastic.
What an incredible thing to have memories of. And I remember seeing a few days after, seeing my Twitter feed just light up because someone, I can't remember who it was now, but somebody posted a photo of you with your helmet just saying, where is this police officer from?
Yeah. So that gentleman was stood in front of me, and fair play to him, he asked my permission first before he took the photo. I was like, yeah, of course you can. We're kind of used to that. It's what happens. But as soon as it went on, I didn't realise it was going to pick up that much sort of activity, although I should have anticipated it, really.
Yeah. So you've been sent stuff. Ali, have you watched much of it back? Did you come back and catch up on any of the... Because, of course, the footage was... Everything was covered, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, the duty we had on the day of the funeral, we didn't start until 2:30, so we were actually sat in Lambeth Station watching the funeral then. But yeah, I've come back and I've looked at Twitter and Facebook and all the social media stuff. There's been stuff of our officers up on the Metropolitan Police Force Facebook page as well, and their social media. So yeah, it's a great way of capturing it and retaining the memories, really, rather than it just being up here.
Absolutely. I should ask, were either of you nervous at all before you went?
Very.
I woke up on the Tuesday morning and just thought, oh my God, what have I volunteered to do?
So you did have to put yourselves forward for it?
Yes, yeah. I genuinely thought, why have I done that? But it was just the best. It was the best experience ever. Nothing I'll ever experience again in my career.
If there was one image that either of you will keep returning to, so when we're talking about this now, what is the one image of that experience that comes to your mind, Barry?
For me, it was the amount of people that were there. There were thousands and thousands of people that descended onto London, and every single one of them was there with the same purpose, and that was to just give respect to the Queen and her lifelong service. And it was just amazing to see a whole nation come together like that, and literally happening right in front of you. I'm not ashamed to say that I stood there and I cried. And I cried with the members of the public that were stood in front of me. And there was one particular young girl who was there with her family, and she was there with her sister and her mum and dad, and she'd start crying, she'd set me off, and then I'd start crying and I'd set her off, and it was just amazing. It was a truly, truly amazing experience.
Oh, fantastic. What about you, Ali?
It was the people I met. We had loads of people coming to talk to us. When we were outside Buckingham Palace, we were sort of, like I said before, giving directions. We actually had one family come up to us, saw the hat, saw the 3 legs. You're from the Isle of Man. My dad's just flown to the Isle of Man tonight to go to the motorsport event that was on that weekend. It was like, of all the people he could have spoken to, he spoke to us. I spoke to a lovely lady from India who had come to the UK after being deported from Ghana. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. From Ghana. And she was telling me her story and why she was there, and she wanted to sort of say pass on her condolences and her respect to the Queen. So it was the stories that people were talking to us about. It was amazing.